Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Siti Amira. So I will present about the process and procedure of the development control system at a local level case study at Majlis Daerah Pontian. Okay, this is the topic to be covered, which are the summary of the problem statement, aim, objective, scope of study, summary of literature review, study areas, summary of method, summary of finding, and the conclusion. Okay, the problem statement in my thesis is there has three problem statement, which are the planning approval period, lack of planning staff, and procedure in the planning. So the first problem statement about the planning approval period, there are some cases of developer who do not pay processing fees to the consultant, and also the developers does not provide the complete information required by the approving development planning. And about the problem statement lack of planning staff, one of the reason of delays in approval is due to shortage of manpower in Majlis Daerah Pontian. When applications slow to process, the lack of staff to process application is sometimes used as an excuse by local authorities. However, it also seen as one of the key problem with the delay in the processing of application, which is the workload of the workers. And then for the problem statement about the procedure in the planning, so the same procedure as specific in section 13 of Act 172, so which require publicity applies to local plan using the same procedure that must and before its planning. So be provided to a proposed proposal development. So in section 12 is specific that the priorities and the concern to be included in the plan proposed should be included in publicity. So the amendment is very essential because from the early stage of the planning, it requires public participation in the Act 172, and its subsequent amended are sufficiently allow for the importance of public participation in planning. Okay, next about the aim. The aim of this research is to evaluate the effectiveness of planning control process at Majlis Daerah Pontian, and also to identify the limitation, challenges, and concerns that arise throughout the process. And for this objective, first to identify the theories related with the development control. Second, to observe the planning control under Town and Country Planning Act 1676 under Act 172, and examining the planning permission at local authority. Thirdly, to determine the extent to which development control process complies with the impact of provision on the development plans and how effective is the process in the development controlling system. Fourth, to identify the issue and problems that exist in the provision on the development control system. And lastly, to propose improvement the process of development controlling system at Majlis Daerah Pontian. Okay, for the scope of the study, have three scope of the study. Firstly, the explore the process between the implementation of the development control system at Majlis Daerah Pontian and identify with specific in terms of function, advantage, and disadvantage. And secondly, the effectiveness is determined based on the process workflow from starting to end that related to the development control system. And the last scope is to evaluate the use of the mechanism in development control system and methods to processing planning application that help a local authority for the simplify processes. Okay, for the summary, literature review that I have been choosing in my research on with the best practice in the United Kingdom and the Singapore, because we know that United Kingdom has providing an understanding at the necessary zoning policy and other critical aspects related to a proposed development, and it also together collaborate and openly at an early stage with partner to recognize appreciation and attempt to address challenge related to a impose development control. And for the Singapore, we also know that the land use preparation is carried out in accordance with and in compliance with development control and planning regulation, which has gained worldwide attention as a model of a good government practice. Okay, for the study area is at the Majlis Daerah Pontian, because we know that the entire Pontian district area is governed by a single authority provided by Act 171, by not altering the original boundaries of the municipal council and local council. Okay, for the summary of the method, focusing on the three methods, which are the documents. The documents are containing workflow, process, and procedure information such as the development control in Majlis Daerah. And then the next method is about the in the examination. So through the observation are made directly to each workflow process at the application process stages on development control in Majlis Daerah Pontian. And the last method is interview. So I use the online interview uh, among the method implemented during the COVID-19 epidemic. So through this interview, I collect the data for this study. This interview method was conducted with the town planning officer and the assistant town planning officer. Okay, for the summary of the finding under the Act 170 in relation to development control in Majlis Daerah, firstly it's about the administration. So in section 448A, point out that the role of the state planning committee in controlling, planning, and coordinating the development of land within the state. While in the section 6.1 set out the role of the local planning authority in Pontian within its jurisdiction in controlling, planning, and coordinating the development of the land building. So it can be shown that overlapping role is established by these two authorities. Next, the decision making, the decision on making process. So application for the development plan approval must be made separately and in stages according to the types of development. There are generally three stages in the development plan approval application process. Okay, next are the lapse of the planning permission. So there has some cases of the developer who do not pay processing fees to be concerned, and also the developer does not provide complete information required by the party that give the planning approval. And for the development charge, for this reason, attention is extended to the current development charge assessment practice carried out by the local planning authority in Majlis Daerah Pontian. So in essence, the Act did not define the rate of the fees and the method of measurement of the development charge that could be imposed by the local planning authorities in Majlis Daerah Pontian. Okay, lastly, about the conclusion. So the conclusion that has been made on this planning research is about the approval of process of planning permission. So in order to provide a more effective service, it is recommended that the distribution of the document be sent online to meeting members. So this can help reduce shipping costs as well as speed up the notification process or invitation details to attend the meeting. So there are no changes to the agenda, module, workflow, chart, and minutes are just an addition to the meeting agenda submission process online. So next, about the administration approval of planning permission. So this is a very unreusable since the power of the local planning authority in the development control system has been limited. So as a policy guide for temporary development plan, local planning authorities may provide a temporary reference or temporary land development that is being gazetted. So for lastly, in development charge, as an improvement for this module, it is proposed to notify the result of the planning meeting via email on the application submitted. So for application involving the application charges, it also proposed to facilities the development charges settlement through the electronic banking. So this facility can help to speed up the approval process without having to wait for an applicant to explain the development of at the counter treasurer. Okay, that's all. That's all for the